Don't be afraid. Be honest with yourself. Examine yourself as closely and as openly as you can, and see what comes up.
Welcome to the Krishna Das Pilgrim Heart Hour. In this podcast, Krishna Das shares his warm-hearted and down-to-earth path to the divine. If you are interested in supporting Krishna Das's podcast, please go to BeHereNowNetwork.com/KD.
Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Jembe Gauri Jai Shama Gauri. Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Jembe Gauri Jai Shama Gauri. Om Shri Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Shri Matre Namah. Jembe Gauri Jai Shama Gauri. Om Shri Matre Saraswati Namaha. Om Namaha. Saraswati, 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 Namaha. Saraswati, Namaha. Saraswati, 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 Namaha. Saraswati, Namaha. Saraswati, 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 Namaha. Saraswati, Namaha. Saraswati, 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 Namaha. Saraswatam Namaha Saraswatam Namaha Saraswatam 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 Somebody writes, I've started to post videos about Dharma online, trying to only do it to alleviate suffering and serve Babaji, Maharaj-ji. But I feel unqualified because I haven't seen God, am not realized. Should I continue? Well, that's a tricky, subtle, interesting point. The minute you start to offer programs or advice, it gets tricky. You have to listen to your heart about what your motivation is. And when you start getting criticized by other people, how does that make you feel? What does it bring up in you? As long as you're honest with yourself and willing to face your own darkness or your own egoistic desires, then you'll probably be all right. But it ain't easy to do that. I don't know if you know my story, but I started to sing with people after I had this epiphany in my room that if I didn't chant with people, that I would never be able to clean out the dark corners of my own heart. And so I began to sing with people. But after 9 months, I quit because I recognized that I wasn't pure enough. My motivation was too mixed. Even though my aspiration was to be with Maharaj-ji, my own desires were going to, what's the word? There's a good word, but I can't remember it right now. We're going to grab onto onto the good stuff and use it for their own sake. And I would hurt myself and hurt other people. So that's why I quit, and I demanded that Maharaj-ji save me and fix it. Because I needed to sing for myself, to save myself. And I was being prevented from doing it by myself. It was a pretty painful situation. I was very despairing. I was in terrible despair for many months. And then being in India with Siddhima, Maharaj-ji actually did fix it. And it's a long story. And if you want to hear about it, I did write a book about it. And it's called Chants of a Lifetime. It's an audio book as well as a physical book. So maybe it'll help you get some insight into what you're doing, and you make your decision about what you want to do. But whatever you do, you have to live with the results and the karma of it. So try not to create suffering for yourself or others. And sometimes the desire to help others can be mixed with a fascination with our own pleasures. So pay attention. That's the best thing. And you'll live with what happens. Is Siddhima the wife of Tiwari? No. Mr. Tiwari's wife was Mrs. Tiwari. Her name was Krishna. Krishna, long A at the end. That's a woman's name. And she was an incredible being. And she was like my Indian mother. I had a number of Indian mothers. Siddhima, of course, was very special. And Mrs. Tiwari was very special for me. I lived with them and traveled with them. And Siddhima was married. She was married to a man, and he died. And after he died, she moved to the temple to serve Maharaj-ji, but she had already been traveling with Maharaj-ji, and her husband actually became a devotee. He was a hard-drinking lawyer for a long time, but gradually he was transformed and became a wonderful, very great devotee of Maharaj-ji. And his name was Tularam Shah. And yeah. So Mr. Tiwari, K.C. Tiwari, was a great yogi, and he had taken a vow not to marry because his parents had died when he was young, and the aunt who raised him also died when he was young. And he didn't want to participate in family life. He felt there was too much suffering in that, and he decided to become a yogi, and he did tremendous practice his whole life. Fierce practice. Wow. You know, he would get up 3, 4 in the morning and do hours of practice before he would go to work as a teacher in a school. And then at night he would do, but little by little, Maharaj-ji forced him to get married. And it's a great story. So, in fact, very soon, there's going to be a film released about Mr. Tiwari, K.C. Tiwari. And it's going to be called Brilliant Disguise. And it's produced by Love Serve Remember Foundation, Ram Dass's foundation. And I was also involved with it, and so were many people. It's really, you maybe get a taste of who he is, who he was. And there's some pictures of his wife in there too, some video of Mrs. Tiwari. She was so beautiful, wonderful being. Did Maharaj-ji say Ram Ram all the time? You see, when you ask a question like that, the implication is that Maharaj-ji was doing something, that he was doing something, but it's actually he was doing nothing. The name of Ram was repeating itself within him. There was no one in there doing anything anymore. He had completed the journey, has completed the journey. And now the only thing in there is God. So the name of Ram was resounding within him all the time. Sometimes you could see his mouth moving. Sometimes you could see his fingers moving as if he was counting the beads of a mala. There's no way for us to even in our wildest dreams, be able to imagine what his experience, what he is really like, who he really is. All we can see is our version of him, which is completely limited by our own stuff. But yes, he said that we should chant all the time. We should, and that constant repetition of the name, through that, everything is accomplished. That's what he said. Everything is accomplished through the repetition of the name. If we were ripe, if we were ready, if we were fully cooked, the moment we heard that, there would be nothing going on in our heads except the name. But we are not ripe. We have plenty of stuff to deal with. Our lives are very busy. Our minds are very distracted. So let's do the best we can to remember the name until the point that the name remembers us, and it does, and it repeats itself within us. And that would be a very nice thing. Could I speak more about surrendering? Well, this means different things to different people, you know. In the outside world, surrender means giving up. It means that you lost, and you have to give your power over to somebody because they've already taken it. You've lost. So you have to surrender. You have to give up. In spiritual life, it's exactly the opposite. All our effort, all our aspiration, all our practice is to reach the point where our egos, our so-called egos, bow at the feet of reality, of the Lord, of God, of the Guru, of the Self. Because at that moment we recognize that we don't really exist. We only think we do. And we do think we do. That's the problem. So we think about ourselves all the time. We identify with our thoughts. We actually think we are who we think we are. Wow. That's amazing. Why? Because of karmas, because of our upbringing, because of our culture, because of all that, we believe we are who we think we are. And that's where all the trouble is. So surrender actually happens by grace. But remember what I asked Siddhi Ma, I said, Ma, is it all grace or is my effort required? Effort to repeat the name, to calm the mind, to open the heart, to treat other people well. Is it all grace or is my effort? She said, Krishna Das, it's all grace, but you have to act like it isn't. In other words, we don't know it's all grace. We believe we have choices to make, so then we should make the best choices we can. We don't know that it's all grace, so we have to make an effort to catch the raindrops of grace, which are always falling, but we don't catch them. And so we barely get wet. How can I extract myself from a spiritual community where I realize it does not align with my values anymore, without falling into a hole of aloneness, back to square one? Well, you see, we're always alone. When are we not alone? Even when we're surrounded by people, we are separate from them. We feel we are separate. So have you been using this community to escape from your feeling of aloneness? You can't hide from yourself. You have to go through whatever you have to go through. And You have to listen to your heart about what's right for you to do, regardless of what you go through because of your decision. You must listen to your heart. Otherwise, you never learn, because the whole spiritual path is learning to listen to your own heart and trust yourself. So from your question, it seems like you've been involved with a community. It no longer serves your purpose. You no longer feel aligned with them. Okay, so trust that and go forth and go forward. You're going to use, you'll find whatever you, if you're afraid of falling into a hole of aloneness, you're already in the hole. So be kind to yourself. Do what's best for you. Trust the process. And that's hard. That's very hard. We're constantly throwing ourselves away, giving ourselves away. Surrender, don't give yourself away. Great song. So it's tricky for us because we have so many conflicting desires. But we must learn to trust ourselves. And whatever happens, we have to live through it. So good luck. With practice, have I noticed the character of my thoughts change? With practice, there are less thoughts. I'm thinking less of the time about myself. And I'm certainly judging myself less and giving myself less of a hard time than I used to. For sure, that's gone on. Now, I don't know if it's practice or just aging. Because now when you're 150, I guess it doesn't feel like when you're 30, but I can certainly tell you that over the years, the way that I gave myself a hard time has changed. Yes, it was a Cheap Trick song. Not you too. So. It seems that most of my uncomfortable emotions boil down to grief once I work with them, even if they start out as anger or fear. It's just one big stew of shit. Grief, anger, fear, shame, selfishness, all that stuff, self-hatred, it's just a big pot of crap. And it goes from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. When you say grief, maybe you mean a longing and a sadness that you don't have what you want. That could be very positive, actually, because that might motivate you to find what you want, what you really want. When Maharaj-ji was sending me back to America from India, I asked him what to do. He said, do what you want. I said, what? But later I realized this was the greatest gift he ever gave me. It forced me to take responsibility for my own actions and to find out what I really wanted to do. He could have told me what to do. He could have told me to sing with people. He never told me that. Not with people. He would say, sing. He'd ask us all to sing, the Westerners, but not like I'm doing now. This came out of my own desire to find him more deeply and find myself more deeply and free myself from suffering and from the darkness in my own heart. That's what I wanted. But and of course, it's what he wanted for me too, but it wasn't enough that he wanted it. I needed to want it. So over the years, I've done lots of stuff. I've gotten in as much trouble as humanly possible. And I'm still here. So that's the most important thing, to find out what you want and pursue it. And if it's not working, find out, keep going, keep fine-tuning. How else will you find yourself except to eliminate everything that does not work? I'm not, yeah, but there's no background music. The tabla is called iPhone app called iTabla Pro. It's a really fun app. But as you can see, I had a lot of trouble today because I lost the tricks of using it in the last couple of months. Somebody's asking about a teacher. They had a teacher who was accused of sexual abuse. He was denounced for abuse of power towards his students and women. What should this person is asking? What to do with his teachings and practices? Well, you really have to search your soul. You really have to try to see what you were attracted to in that being and be honest with yourself. See what you were attracted to. See if the practices really help you. And if they don't, forget it. Find something else to do. A lot of times a teacher, yoga, there are so many practices. Yes, pranayama could be good for you. Yes, asana can be good for you. Yes, meditation can be good for you. But the teacher who's telling you these things might be a criminal. That doesn't mean the practices won't be good for you. But you have to decide whether you're at ease with doing the practices now that the teacher's been exposed as being a bad guy or a bad person. So that's tricky stuff. And once again, the most important thing is to trust yourself, whether you want to stay with the teachings or you don't. It's completely up to you. There's nothing to be afraid of from leaving the teachings. You don't owe anybody anything. Nobody owns you. Nobody can control you. You're totally free to make your decisions without fear and without worry or anxiety. And if you have any of those issues, examine them. What is it you're afraid of? What is the anxiety? Some people are afraid of their teachers. Oh, he's going to punish me if I leave. That's your mind. Nobody can punish you. We punish ourselves. So don't be afraid. Be honest with yourself. Examine yourself as closely and as openly as you can, and see what comes up. You just have to see what you're comfortable with. That's the whole deal. What are you comfortable with? Even though that teacher has been exposed as doing a lot of terrible things, you might still get something from what you learned, practice-wise. You don't want to be like that person, but maybe some of those practices can be helpful, maybe not. It's up to you, really, completely up to you. Why does chanting with me feel blissful while it's not the same doing it on our own? I could ask the same question. Why doesn't it feel blissful when I do it on my own? And why does it feel blissful when I do it with people? It's all Maharaj-ji's play. It's all Maharaj-ji's Leela. What you feel, what I feel when we sing together is his love, his presence. Maybe you're not as connected to him right now as you could be. So when you get with a group who's connecting, you feel good, but your mind destroys it when you're on your own. So if that's the case, keep practicing, keep singing until your mind doesn't ruin your life, which is what it does to all of us. Ruins our lives, our minds, our negative thoughts and emotions. So keep chanting. Do I set aside a specific time to chant? No. I don't count mantras. I don't chant at a specific time. I just do the best I can every day to wake up. First, I have to get up. And then we'll see what happens. Did Maharaj-ji ever speak about Ramana Maharshi? Yes, he did. I think Ramana Maharshi left the body in, was it 52 or 62? I should know, but I don't remember. Probably 52. I think it was 52. Anyway, Maharaj-ji was up in the hills, northern India. And of course, Ramana Maharshi lived in the south. And he was with some devotees. This story is in one of the books, probably Divine Reality, which is a book of stories about Maharaj-ji that is available for free on my website, on my krishnadas.com. You can find it there. It's a free download. So Maharaj-ji was in the hills, and all late, I guess, at some point, and he pulls his blanket over his head, and he starts to weep and cry and weep and weep. And then he comes out of the blanket and he says, oh, he's in so much pain. He's so thirsty. Bring water, bring water. So he sipped a little water from a spoon, and he would say, India is losing such a saint. India is losing such a saint. And it was just at the time that Ramana Maharshi was leaving the body in South India. So these great beings are connected. They're all connected. So. How do you think one should deal with feelings of depression and anxiety? Well, we all have to find a way to deal with that stuff that works for us. Counseling, therapy can be very useful to examine, open up, and explore your feelings and find out where they're coming from, what's causing the fear, the anxiety, the depression. Chanting and meditation, spiritual practices can also be very useful. There's no one answer for everybody. Each one of us has to find our way. But recognize that the way things are in the world right now is feeding a tremendous amount of depression and anxiety. And it's just in the air we breathe. It's not always our own, so to speak. But we're feeling it. Everybody we know, most of the people we know are suffering from anxiety and fear. There's a war going on. There's all kinds of political problems here. People don't talk to each other. It's a rough time. And so it's not unusual that we should have these kind of feelings. But that does not mean that those feelings have to crush us and close our hearts. The power of spiritual practice is that we can keep our hearts open and engage with life fully, regardless of what kind of feelings we have. So That's a big thing, and it's a very important thing to be able to do. What if doing what you feel is the path for you to follow will hurt others, the ones that mean the most to you, but you know you need to move on for your own future? If you've formed relationships with other beings, if you have a contract with another being, you cannot use spiritual practice as an excuse to leave that contract. 99 times out of 100, it's just ego gratification, selfishness, pushing you to do that. When I was in India, I saw all kinds of relationships, all kinds of families. People in their families did their practices. They did not have to leave their families in order to do practice. That's a bunch of bullshit. If you were meant to be in a cave, you'd already be there, and you would not be in other relationships. So you must be very honest with yourself, probably more honest than you can be at this point. But you recognize that most of the time, this situation that you're describing is just selfishness and nothing else but selfishness. Believe me, I've been there. I've done that a number of times. I know what I'm talking about. It's so hard. The ego, the neurosis immediately grabs the spiritual aspiration and uses it to build itself up. So you have to be very honest with yourself about your own motivations. And good luck. That's all I can say. How is it possible to believe in yourself when our practice is about being free of ourselves? It's about being free of the small s self, the so-called separate sense of separateness, which is called ego. The self, with a capital S, is our true nature. There's one of it everywhere. One self, one God, one love, one world, one universe. The self, the one. What we want to be free is our selfish motivations, our self-cherishing, building ourselves up falsely, our using other people for our own pleasure, and manipulating others for our own sake, doing all those things that are all about me, 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 me. The I, the sense of being, is true self. It is not me. It is not mine. You don't own it. It's who we are already. There's a difference between me, self, and I, true being, self, capital S. So that's the difference. One has to have that experience eventually. Right now, we're swimming around in our own shit. Maybe we have our head up over the surface so we can breathe, but we're still, everything is about me, my stuff, my life, my pleasure, my avoidance of pain, my this, my things, my everything, me, 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 me. That's the smallest self. That's what we want to be free of, that me, me, me. So we can expand our hearts and feel real love. Not selfish love, not controlling other people, not using other people for our pleasure, not using other people because we can't find the love inside of us. We want somebody else to show it to us and give it to us. It doesn't work like that. Nobody can give us love. Love is who we are. People can give us affection, friendship, kindness. We can have wonderful, loving relationships, but we're not getting love from someone else. Love is, with a capital L, is our true nature already. So, all right. That's it for today. Our habit is to think all the time, to engage with external stuff all the time. On our phones, on our computers, online, on the TV, outside, engaging with outside, and we lose ourselves. We need to find a way to get ourselves back if we're going to be happy and if we're going to be able to help other people. We have to have something to give. So that's why practice is so important. Through practice, little by little, we disengage from the external and naturally go deeper into our own true nature, which is the same as everybody else's true nature. At least that's what they say. Calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this body mine. Calling out to hungry spirits everywhere through endless time. Calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and left behind. Gather round and share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine. Shri Guru Charan Saroja Raja Jimana Mukur Sudari Varana Raghubara Bimala Jasu Chodayak Palachari Buddhihin Tanu Janke Sumeram Bhavan Kumasiaram Balabuddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Hara Kalesu Bekar Savara Ramachandra Pada Jai Sharanam Jaya Hanuman Kyana Gunasara Jaya Kapi Sati Loka Ujara Ramadutta Tulit Baladhama Anjani Put Pavan Sutana Mahavir Bikram Bajarangi Umatlivar Sumati Kesangi Kanchana Varana Viraj Subesa Anana Kundala Kunchita Kesa Atbajur Dvaja Viraj Kande Munja Jane Ursaja Shankara Suvan Kesari Nandan Teja Pratap Mahajagavan Vidyavan Guni Atichaturam Kaja Karibe Koatu Prabhu Charita Sunibe Korasir Ramalakan Sita Manavasi Sukshmarupa Dardisiya Hindekam Katarupa Dardalamkachara Bhimarupa Daryasur Sahari Ramachandra Ke Kaja Samvari Maya Sanjivana Lakana Jiyaya Shiragubira Shiralai Raghupati Kinhi Bohutumbarai Tumma Mama Priya Bharatai Samadhai Sahasabadan Tumaro Jasagao Asakai Shripati Kantalagao Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa Narada Sharada Sahita Ahisa Yamakuber Digapala Jahante Biko Bidakai Sake Kahante Tuma Upakara Sugriva Inkina Rama Melaya Raja Padadi Maro Mantra Bibhishanama Lankeshwara Bhai Sabha Jagajan Sahasra Jojana Parabhanu Lilyotai Mudura Palajan Prabhu Mudrika Mili Mukamahi Jaladilange Gaye Charajanahi Durgama Kaja Jagata Keje Te Sugamanugra Tumare Te Rama Duvare Tumarakovar Otana Agya Binna Bezar Sab Suklahe Tumari Sharan Tumara Chakakahu Kodaram Apana Teja Samaro Ape Dino Lokahanka Tinkampe Uttapisashan Katanahi Ave Mahavir Jabanam Suna Naseroga Hare Sabapir Chapatanirantara Hanumatavir Sankatate Hanuman Churave Anakrama Bachana Dhyana Jolave Sabapararam Tapasvi Raja Inke Kaja Sakala Tuma Saja Or Manorat Choko Elave Sove Amit Jivana Palapave Charon Yuga Paratapatuma Eparasid Jagata Ujaya Sadhu Santake Marakovari Asurane Kandana Ramadula Ashtasiddhino Nidike Data Sovaradina Janki Mata Ramarasayana Tumare Pasa Sadaraho Raghupati Ke Dasa Tumare Bhajana Rama Gopal Janama Janama Ke Dukha Bisarao Antakala Raghubar Pura Jayi Jahan Janam Hare Bhakti kahai. Or devata chittanadare Hanumat se sarva sukha kare Sankata kate mite sab pura Jo sumire Hanumat balabir Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Kripa karo Gurudev ki nai Jo satabar bhakt kar koi Chutta hi bandi mahasukha hoi Oya pare Hanuman Chalisa Oya siddhi sakhi garisa Tulasi das sada hari chera Kije na hridayam dev Pavanatanaya Sankataharana Mangalamurti Rup Siyaram Ramalakana Sita Sahita Hriday Basav Sudabhupa Syavara Ramachandra Padaje Sharanam Mangalamurti Martananda Sakala Amangala Mula Nikanda Mangalamurti Martanandan Sakala Mangala Mula Nikanda Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Oh, it's been quite an experience being here tonight with my drum machine with a mind of its own. So, I've been closing these evenings with the Loka Samasta prayer. The aspiration that all beings be happy. And what is happiness? Being content in oneself, knowing the love that lives within us as who and what we truly are. If all of us were happy, none of us would be hurting anybody else. None of us would be causing suffering. But the world is what it is. So our prayers, our aspirations, our desires to make this world a good place to live is very important. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 If we know anything about a path at all, it's only because of the great beings that have gone before us. Out of their love, out of their kindness, they left some footprints for us to follow. So, in the same way that they wish for us, in the same way that they wish for us, we wish that all beings everywhere be happy, that all of us be safe, that all of us have good health and enough to eat. And may we all live in peace and at ease of heart, with whatever comes to us in life. Shanti, 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 As we say in India, Namaste. Take good care.